Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Today I have for you a project share, and since October was a load month, which means a layout a day month, I do have a big stack here to share. First, I want to apologize for any bad audio quality. I don't usually do live audio because I do work in the basement and the furnace runs, especially now that it's getting colder, and that messes up the audio. However, I've got just a few minutes today to get through this, so we're going to work with it. And let me show off what I've done. So I'm going to mix this up between physical projects and digital projects that I haven't printed yet. I always do print them eventually because doing a layout a day is time consuming, as you can imagine, and I often need to use either the Project Life app on my phone, or I will sit down and use Photoshop to create a fully digital project. So we're going to start off with a couple of digital layouts, and then we'll go back and forth. And hopefully, if I can get this organized up on the screen, I will put each day and do that. So starting off, I have this Project Life layout because I was in the middle of a Crop and Create card making event at the very beginning of October, and I already shared the cards I made at that event in the last project share video. And at the start of the event, I was feeling a little off and I wasn't sure I was going to be up for it. And so this layout was talking about some of those mixed feelings that I was having. But on the next day, I had had such a good time that my energy was back and I was feeling better. And so this is kind of remembering that some of those feelings are temporary. And then the third day, I was still kind of wrapping up from the event, so I just did a very quick layout on something that was heavily on my mind, which is some skin changes I've been going through. And I have yet to be able to get an appointment with a dermatologist. I'm sure the backlog of patients from COVID is probably part of that, but it's frustrating when you're worried not to be able to get in to see somebody. At any rate, let's move back to physical projects. So this project I did out of my Counterfeit kit for this month, and I don't think I have a process video for this one. This one is a title page for this binder that I'm starting, which is, let's go back to the title, which is Love Notes from my kids. And this is going to be where I collect a whole bunch of the little notes and cards and artwork that they've given me over the years. I've saved a lot of it. I haven't saved all of it. And as you can see, I just have a single thing in here right now because I just put the binder together. So, but this project is the start, or this layout is the start of this project. So that is something that I will continue to work on. All right, this was the next physical project, and I think this one followed a prompt from the load project. I don't always follow the prompts, but I like to when I can. However, I try to get other projects done during a load month because that is the time that I take to get a backlog of things done. Sorry, I've got things falling out in the next layout and trying to keep those busy. So this was about, I can't remember what the prompt is, something along the lines of what do you enjoy or what are you good at or something like that. So I just talked about all the things I like to make and do. I like to do construction work. We built our own chicken coop. We've done some home remodeling stuff. Of course, I do paper crafting. So this covers all of that. Next up, I think this was another load, based on another load prompt, but for the life of me, I can't remember. Is it? No, I'm not sure. Anyway, this is Random High School Memories, if you tuck those in there. And I saved this particular piece of paper that I've had. It was a Heidi Swap piece that I've had for a long time because I really like this print because the tiger was my favorite animal for a lot of high school and into early college. It was not the high school mascot, which gets confusing, but inside of here, I've got all these little tags and notes that I've started writing down my random high school memories, and one of them does say that no, the tiger isn't the mascot, and that our mascot was a condor. So that is what all of these tags are for. I put 2 of the layers of this on here so that I could fit a lot of stuff. I can add to this over time as I think of more things. So I I was excited that I came up with this format because on another day, oh, I thought it was next, but it's not next, because I used this same kind of concept on a later layout. So we'll get to that. All right, the next day was another digital day. This was a super quick one, and this one was based on a prompt, and I just threw in some of my garden veggie photos from this year because I was really proud of how my garden veggie was doing. The next day I needed another quick one, probably because of busy schedule, and so I did this. It's a 4x6 layout, which I'm going to print off and stick in my, I have a little art journal just of kind of tidbits of my life, and so I'm going to stick this one in there. This is a neighbor cat that showed up at our house one day, and he was really insistent about trying to come inside, and he was such a cutie and fun, and I just wanted to share the story of the enjoyment I've been having with him. All right, heading back to physical, I have this layout, which was not a load layout. This was a layout done for Mix It Up Monday, which is a Facebook group that Anna runs, and Anna is Peacecraft Love. She runs a scrapbooking shop called Peacecraft Love. So I've been joining in on, well, this is the first one. I started joining in on her Mix It Up Monday hops, and so we add mixed media to a sketch, and this is what I had going on. Somewhere in here, this was the week after the card making event, there was also World Card Making Day on the weekend of the card making event. I didn't participate because I was already busy with the main event. However, the week after, I did sit down and do all the challenges. I know there were 5 challenges. I only have 3 cards left. I know I sent one of them off in the mail already, which I will show you digitally. So let's take a pause and do that. And here is this digital card. That challenge was based on stencils, and so I had a lot of fun using kind of a rainbow effect with some Nuvo drops through a star stencil, and I know I sent that one off to a friend already. I did this project based on a color challenge, and the fun bit of this project is kind of inside, and I'll see if I can zoom in on some of that here for you, because I've got I used a lot of products from the weekend card making event to make these World Card Making Day challenge cards so that I could kind of mix and match manufacturers. And I had a lot of fun with this stencil from Concord and Ninth. So moving back to in person, these were the other 3 cards that I did for the challenge. This was a layering challenge, so I have lots of layers of this die cut shape with lots of layers of little foliage in here. And no, this does not fit in an envelope now that I've put it over, so I'd have to make a larger size envelope, but this is really pretty and I need to get this in the mail for Thanksgiving. This one was a single stamp challenge, so I chose this happy birthday stamp from Pink and Maine, and I did some tone-on-tone stamping as well as the focal stamp, and then spruced it up just a little bit. This one was a weaving challenge, and I tell you, the idea felt better in my head than it came out on the actual product. I think partially because I would have wanted this cake image to be more distinct is the best word. I thought it would be fun to see the pattern through the cake, but in the end I don't like it. So maybe perhaps I should have painted the entire cake white, but you live and learn. So, and this has a little bit more tone-on-tone stamping in the background. All right, so those are the cards that I made for World Card Making Day. Let's see what is next on the list. Okay, so we're back here to physical. This was, I believe, based on a prompt, and because I'm starting to switch over to doing more 8.5 by 11 layouts, you'll see a few of those as we go through here. This is for my personal scrapbooks. And this was about my great-grandmother she passed away when I was 7, but I have a lot of memories of her, so this was trying to capture some of that. I only have a couple of pictures of her, and I've already done a few layouts of her, so I'm going to have to get creative in mixing and matching the few photos that I have to tell more stories about my memories of her, because I do have a lot of them. So that's that. And then day 10, it says here, this is another one of those layouts that was based on that idea of having little folders to store memories in. And I've only got one in here right now. And I do have a photo that I just got a copy of from a family member that I am going to kind of shrink down and add on here, because that was the memory I was actually thinking of when I created this layout. So it was coincidental timing that she had sent me that picture for Halloween. And so I'm going to shrink that down and probably put it down over here. And then I will be able to make little tags and notes of Halloween memories to my childhood Halloween memories that I will tuck into here. And the prompt for this day had to do with the 1970s, the fashion of the 1970s. So I tried to mimic a wide collared men's, shirts and lapels from coats in the 70s. And I think it kind of worked, but I have to explain it, I think, in order for anybody to get it. But anyway, that's how that is, and it'll be one of those stories of a story down the road. Okay, up next I've got a double page layout, and this one was from my Counterfeit kit for this month. And let's make sure that, yes, that is framed okay. I'm going back and forth between my list on my computer and actual filming, so I just wanted to make sure that showed up. I believe this was based on a sketch. I'm pretty sure, if I'm my memory is bad, which is why I scrapbook. If I'm remembering correctly, I think this was based on a sketch, and then I stretched it to a 2-pager. Yes, this was from a CKC sketch for one of the challenges for our month. So yes, and I stretched it to a 2-pager, and I used a lot of circles to be a festive feel for a birthday layout without any birthday products, which I like to do themed layouts without themed products a lot of the time. And in fact, I use some photos as part of the themed. Okay, next up, let's see what we've got. Oh, this one, I definitely have a process video up on the last one and on this one, and this is my little cheeky title of some very unpleasant weather that we had. It got up to 115 degrees here last summer, not this past summer, but 2021. And it has never been this hot here, and my title tells you how I felt about that. So we'll move on. Then I started working on my COVID album because I've been meaning to for a long time, and I haven't. This is a layout I need to put away. It's not relevant here. Let's see if I can center this without smashing the computer. Okay, so this was one layout I did for the day. So this is kind of the title page to the entire COVID album. So that was that. And then this was a timeline that we've had leading up to the pandemic becoming shut down land in the United States. So I went on various websites and picked and chose various timeline issues to create this one. And then this was a previous layout that I had already done. So I had done a little bit of work in here. Then you can see I'm still working on that one. Then I did this spread. So part of what I'm doing in this album is creating a lot of these tip outs to store a lot more stuff. So this is a big long timeline from the month of March, because that was the month the world changed for a lot of us. I have been through a major earthquake, but never anything quite like what the pandemic did. This is an in-between piece that is going to be another layout. I think this one was made, this one I made the next day, because this is a lot of work to put all this together. This is another tip out that was our adventures at the grocery store at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's just, a single-sided tip out. but I've been doing a lot of these in this album, and I'm really liking this aspect to pocket pages. I don't normally like pocket pages for several reasons. I won't go into it right now, but can you see that? Let me bring it to the middle of the screen. Hopefully you could see that okay. At least you could see the tip out. But here's another tip out, and this one is actually double-sided. So I have been doing, here's another one. So I've been doing lots and lots of tip outs in here, which takes a little bit of time to kind of plan them out. So let's go ahead and move on. We'll come back to more of this stuff because I did do more of that stuff later. But in the meantime, I created this layout as a part of the Counterfeit Kit Challenge. So this was a layout challenge. This is more birthday photos to go with that previous birthday layout. Up next, oh, we are back in here. Up next for the month of, let's see, March. April I had done a long time ago, and I'm saving a little, I'm going to skip that. Sorry for the rough edit there. That was some stuff with my email on it, so I'm not going to show that in public. But I had done this previously, and I am saving printed out emails and news articles and such from this time as part of my documentation. Here you can see another printout from our state, and here's some news articles. I did clip these and edit them down from their news sources, and I did include that, and I'm formatting them all the same so that it's consistent, and the little dots mean I've cut off parts and edited these down. So I am saving that kind of stuff. So that was part of this documentation. This one has 1 tip out, 2 tip outs. So yeah, that was that month. And then, yep, my next day I did work on the next layout. And this saving these news articles was pretty time consuming because I had to read through all the articles and decide what to clip and save. But it's worth it. It's worth it. So I am doing that. Here is a little tip up that just overlays a larger photo. That one is a tip up. This one is a tip up. So I think I want to put little tabs on these just to make it clear that they're tip ups. And then more timeline stuff. And then I've got some room for some more personal journaling on there. So notice I use this tip up in particular. Let me kind of center this a little better. Because part of what I don't like about pocket pages is I have a horizontal photo, but vertical pockets, and that drives me crazy. But I realized if I do these tip outs on top, then I can fill the pockets with decoration or journaling, and then go ahead and use my formatted photo anyway on top of those pockets. So this is one of the tricks that I am learning that will help me enjoy pocket pages better. So I wanted to include that tip in case you are like me and don't like being restricted to the sizes and shapes of pocket pages. What have we got next? Okay, back, that might be the last in that one actually, so I'm going to set that aside. Okay, we're back over here, and this is a layout that has a process video up already using my SCT sampler kit, so I won't say too much about that one. You can check that out if you're interested in more. The next 2 layouts here were Project Life app layouts, which my daughter had a performance that weekend, so we were both gone to the theater all weekend for rehearsals and performances. And so this is day 1 of performance, and then we've got day 2 of performance. So that was just a quick one. This is the next physical project. When I had posted my project to the load challenge, I hadn't had my journaling in here yet, and that's okay. So you'll notice that some of my layouts do have some empty spaces because of things like this, where I will 100% finish them off later. But for the load challenge, I feel like they're done enough. And this one in particular, I didn't finish because I had to ask my daughter and she wasn't home. So that is that. This was about, she does mock trial through her school where they do mock court cases. So she's learning all about the legal system through this, and she doesn't really like the law, but she likes the work and the people in the group. And so she's learning a lot despite it not being her favorite subject, which I find really fascinating. Next up, this one. Okay, this was from a prompt from Load, and I don't remember the prompt exactly, something about relationships, I think. And I had made this card for my husband a few years ago, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. I didn't specifically ask, but he feels bad about his balding head, and I had made this card because I thought it was sweet, because we've always talked about growing old together. So I thought it was sweet because I mentioned my graying hair and his balding spot, but he didn't take it as sweetly as I intended it, and I felt bad about that. But I saved this card because, one, I drew it and made it from scratch, and two, because the idea of us growing old together really does matter a lot to me, and so it was very sentimental. So today was the day that I put that card and that story and some photos of us throughout the years on this layout. So that was a very sentimental layout for me, and that's one of the fun, I'm tearing up right now. That is one of the fun things about Load, is that sometimes you will get prompts that will spark stories that you may not have turned into a scrapbook layout. I don't think I would have turned that into a scrapbook layout. So that is definitely one of the things I appreciate about Load. So I hope my husband will forgive me for sharing this, but a lot of guys do feel self-conscious, and I know as a woman, I've got aging things that I feel self-conscious about. My sagging skin and my chin whiskers, to put it all out there. So I hope he'll forgive me for sharing, but it matters to me a lot. Okay, I've said enough about that. Let's get that one off screen. Okay, pardon me going blank there for a moment. This layout is about my son and some of the challenges we've had along the way. Trying to learn to live with different people can be challenging, and I'm not going to say too much more about that because he does not like to be on video, so I'm just going to pass over that one. That one was from a Load prompt. Next up, we have another digital layout, so let me get back to my list. This one was about a trunk or treat Halloween event at my daughter's school. We technically and legally homeschool, but she uses this homeschooling resource center that really acts a lot like school for us, with some other benefits, which is why we use it. And they do a trunk or treat event every year because the age range goes from, the littlest siblings all the way up through high school. So this layout talks about getting ready for the trunk or treat event, and here's another layout where you notice I have some gaps in there because I didn't have all of the photos because we were still working on the project, which leads me into these next couple of photos, which is the process of working on this creation. And I did the construction of the creation, and my daughter did a lot of the painting of the creation. And you can see in this photo, I used my Cricut to do some paper crafting to create this. I should give you a point of reference here. This is a monster from a movie and a theater production called Little Shop of Horrors. But my first experience of the monster was from the movie in the 80s. And this is one of my favorite movies. It's a musical, and so this was our Halloween trunk theme this year. In case you don't know, the trunk or treat events have their trunks decorated in various ways, and I had a rain tint up this year because we were thinking it might rain. It didn't. And we use that as part of our decorations also. But this monster creation did take a bunch of time, and it was very crafty, so I wanted to share that here. Got one more, I'll go ahead and pop that up now. One more digi layout on that trunk or treat event, which kind of wraps up my Halloween documentation for this year. And then these last few physical projects were from the last few days of Load. these are basically assembly line projects that I'm doing, because I did share, in fact, it's sitting right here. Let me grab it. I did share in a previous video how I've made this entire stack of layouts from our camping trip, and I am basically duplicating this. This one goes in our family album, this one goes in my younger daughter's album, and then I have a third set in progress that will go in my older daughter's album. So when I do this kind of documentation, I do assembly line, and I have no problems with that. I keep the layout simple. You can see these are really simple. This is the space for journaling, which I'm going to type up and print multiple copies so that I can spread them out between the 3 sets. But when I'm doing this assembly line, multiple series and sets of layouts, I do keep it simple and use some of those quick techniques like printing, journaling to get through these. So that wraps up. Let me set those down. That does wrap up my sharing for this month. I know this video is going to be, has been a longer one, so I thank you for watching all the way to the end. I will be back tomorrow with an embellishment creation video with some tips and tricks on that. So I do hope you will join me then. Thanks so much for being here and for watching my long-winded video. I'll see you next time.